But you tried to blackmail her and you told her that you were going to send these photos unless she came to the hotel and spent the night with you. So you compounded the bad situation with more bad decisions and more harmful acts. How dare you extort sexual favors in exchange for someone else's privacy being protected?
A
rare mic drop by a Connecticut parole board member. We are about to watch the parole hearing of a serial offender who started all the way back in 2000 when he did the worst to someone under the age of 14 when he was the age of 28. We'll unpack it with all the details at the end. With that, let's jump in.
My calendar 404-225. He's serving a sentence of 4 years for violation of probation, unrelated offense, failure to register as a sex offense, failure to appear first, criminal violation, restraining order, and disseminating intimate image to one person.
Unlawful dissemination of an intimate image.
As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of March 1st, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It's been reviewed, shows the offender is completing final programs. Domestic violence, tier 2, currently at the kitchen job. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score in the SRT falls within a high range of risk for recidivism. Utilizing the static 99R, the offender's overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the high range. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. Maybe again.
Do you have a statement, sir, that you wanted to read?
I have a statement, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, can we get going?
Yes, ma'am. I feel I can get parole because I do realize that the things that I have done, I've hurt a lot of people, and I can say that I'm very sorry for everything that I've done, and I've hurt a lot of people in my past as well. But since I've been in this time, I've taken to work really hard on my drug addiction, because it seems that that my drug addiction has gotten me in a lot of trouble. So last time I was out on probation, I did great. I was doing great. In some stuff, so a few things happened, and I didn't, know how. I didn't handle it like I should have. So this time in jail, I took the chance and went through the program, and used it well, I believe, and learned different ways to talk about my anger, and I learned a lot more about myself.
Okay. Is that everything you wanted us to know?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Well, thank you for that opening statement. So we've read the documents available and prepared some questions, and then we'll discuss your case and you'll have our decision this afternoon. So let's start with why do you hurt people?
I hurt people because when I'm hurt, I want people to feel what I'm feeling. I want them to hurt like I do. That's
okay. So the adage of hurt people. That's where you're at.
Say that again, ma'am. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
People hurt people.
No, people don't hurt people.
I said hurt people. Hurt people.
No, I. That's not what we should do. It's what I.
Yes, that's
did.
what you were describing. You're hurting other people out of your own pain because somehow you think that it's going to help you, and it doesn't ever, right?
Right.
So, what were you doing on Facebook?
I was never on Facebook. on Facebook, that right there was someone had made a Facebook up for me, and I never was on Facebook.
Why would someone make up a Facebook page for you?
From what I gathered, from what I heard, or what I believe happened is Facebook was made up for me because they were trying to get people to donate money because I was homeless at the time. So they made a Facebook up for me to see if people would donate. My daughter and my ex-fiance at the time.
That in and of itself is problematic, sir. So you have a history of failing to register. Why?
With the failure to registers, I end up relapsing. When I relapse, I just stop caring. And that's what happens. I start using, I go on the run, using drugs, and I just stop caring about everything.
Okay, so you're 51 years old. When are you going to do something different?
I'm doing something different now. The last time I was charged with the failure to register, that particular time was a mistake through the mail. They didn't receive the letter that you're supposed to send in time. So therefore, that's what that was involved with. They thought that I had moved from one place to another without informing them, which I had. They just didn't get the letter. So from here on out, I'm definitely going to have every single letter stamped and notarized. That way, I'll know when they have it. Other than that, I just with my drug addiction. I'm tired of relapsing. I'm tired of the same old thing. So I'm really taking it serious, my drug problem. I put myself on methadone to hopefully, while on methadone, I want to be able to learn about my drug problem, learn about myself. And when I do get out, I'm going to keep myself single for the year that they talk about in the program, so I can get to know me more and get to know my problems and learn about my drug problem even more.
So you took the domestic violence program. What did you learn about what a healthy relationship looks like?
A healthy relationship, I learned, looks like, when two people, have each other's back, and, each person has a say in the relationship. And, if there's something wrong in the relationship and you're upset, talk about it. Don't just jump to conclusions. If something's wrong and you think it's something one way, well, bring it to your spouse, ask them, talk about it. If you don't think you can talk about it, right there and then in a healthy way, either, have somebody sit down with us and talk about it. So there's a intermediary, someone that can help us talk about it, or give it some time so we both can cool down and then come back to the situation.
Communication, I'm hearing.
Yes.
Understanding. How about some honesty?
I think honesty is one of the biggest in a relationship. And I think when two people are honest with each other, further going on in your relationship, it becomes a lot easier to trust each other.
So trust and respect, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Healthy boundaries. You don't invade each other's privacy. Everybody's allowed to have a past, and they don't have to answer to you for their past.
Right.
So what are you going to do the next time you think your partner isn't being faithful?
I think the next time I think, if I ever think of something like that, instead of holding it in and letting things build up, I'm gonna just ask her. I'm gonna be like, is that happening? And even if she says no, and I can't believe her, well, then I need to step away from the relationship.
Exactly.
And find a better way.
Instead of looking for evidence to show her that she's lying to you, right? If you can't trust what the person says, then that's not the person to be in a relationship with.
Right.
So what do you think? I know you haven't taken the Voices program, which is unfortunate. What do you think the impact on the victim was that you sent naked pictures to her coworkers?
Doing that, that was so childish, and I know what I was looking for when I did that. I wanted her to hurt like I was hurting, and it was so wrong for me to do that. And I wish I could
Obviously,
take
because
it
it's a
back.
crime, sir. But I'm asking you what the impact on her was.
The impact on her was that she was, embarrassed, and I'm sure that she's going to therapy now for it. I know I hurt her deeply, and I'm sure that now that she's going to have, men issues, trust issues with men. And
She had a right
I'm
to her
sure
privacy, didn't she?
she should. Yes, she had. Well, yes, she definitely has right to her privacy.
But you tried to blackmail her, and you told her that you were going to send these photos unless she came to the hotel and spent the night with you. So you compounded the bad situation with more bad decisions and more harmful acts. How dare you extort sexual favors in exchange for someone else's privacy being protected? You've taken problem sexual behavior treatment in the past?
Yes. Yes. And the situation that you're referring to is I wasn't asking for sexual favors. I wanted her to sit down and talk with me. And that's all I ever asked of her, was to please just sit down and let's talk about this, because
well, then why didn't you meet her in a coffee shop? Why was she supposed to come to your hotel room? This is extortion, sir. You could have faced a whole host of other charges for doing that.
At the time, I know I was separated from my fiance at the time because of her, but I was living in a hotel room at the time. I definitely, at that time, I never was using anything for sexual favors at all.
Well,
and then
the records indicate something very different. So thank you for talking with me, sir. Mr. Dargan?
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good, you, sir.
So, you went on to talk about your support system, and, it looks like your old boss was very supportive, and he talked about you having an issue with substance abuse, right? The boss in the moving company. And he looked like he wanted to be of help to you, right?
Yes.
And so I went on to read that if you relapse, first of all, we don't want you to relapse. What you would do, you call a friend, you kind of get in touch with a friend, you call local law enforcement, right? So
yes.
again, we don't want you to get there, right? Because you're already in the hospital for ODing at one time, right?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, a good part of your problem is the substances, right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm no medical expert, and I don't know if it's all related to a lot of the other poor judgments that you're shown along the way, right?
Yes, sir.
But I read that you want to plan on attending AA and NA meetings. Have you reached out to CCAR at all, or know about that at all?
Yes, actually, I have been in reach with CCAR. I was planning on when I do get released, whether on parole or I end up, end the sentence. I plan on going to see CCAR, and I would like to become a therapist, someone to actually help people in society. I do feel like if I can, by helping others, that I'll be helping myself as well.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been talking to the people in CCAR.
Okay, so I also read, without saying the name now, about your other support system was an ex-girlfriend. So this is not the individual that you have the protective order against, is it?
No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for answering my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Certainly. Ms. Chance?
Ditomasso, you're 51 years old, but you sound today like you're 19 years old. When you don't get your way, you do things that you're not supposed to do. And you're still not honest about some of the things that my colleague, Ms. Turner, asked you about. You haven't done well on 3 previous community. And when you're not in a good mood, you don't register when you know that's part of being out in the community that you have to do. So they gave you a flat sentence because you haven't done well before. So I really don't have any questions. I just wanted to make those comments.
Okay.
All right. So, Mr. Ditomasso is an 85% offender with an eligibility date mid-October, and he's end of sentence.
50%.
I'm 50%.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was
That's okay.
looking at the dates.
That's all right.
He's past his 50% date.
Right.
He's end of sentence in December of next year.
Correct.
I think there's more programs that he can take. It's very concerning to me with a drug score of 5 and the extent of his substance abuse history that he was only afforded tier 2. He can certainly take the Voices program, and it's there's just too much going on here for me, too much non-compliance, too much justification. So I have Mr. Ditomasso denied.
Awesome.
Okay, so I have a criminal history, offense on probation.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add?
I think that would be it. Yeah.
Inadequate evidence of offender change, and recommend that he be afforded the opportunity to participate in Voices.
Yeah, so
I'm all set with Voices. I don't want to do Voices. Thank you, though.
There we go. So in the matter of Michael Ditomasso, inmate number 404-225, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: his criminal history, his offenses while on probation, and inadequate evidence of offender change. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
This concludes the hearing from Michael Ditomasso, inmate number 404225.
Okay, I actually appreciated the way that they handled this hearing. Not all of it, but most of it. I like how disgusted Turner was by him blackmailing his girlfriend and sending videos to her coworkers. Even Miss Chance had a little bit of a rare kind of like mic drop moment when she said, "You act like a child." But there were parts where I was a little annoyed. It seemed like they were trying to coach him and talk him through what he's going to do when he gets out. And I guess I'm only annoyed by that because, to me at least, by looking at his record, his interview wasn't terrible in terms of he was articulate, he knew how to communicate, but when you look at his record, he's just a deviant. He's I think, in my opinion, the clear definition of antisocial. He cannot contribute to society, and we'll go through that. And starting with his first registered offense, which took place all the way back in 1995, when he was about 28 years old. He sexually assaulted, this is full on the R word, a child under the age of 14. He has to register as a level 3 sex offender, the highest level. And then from there, it just keeps going. Now, I'm sure it'll be no surprise to you that the maximum sentence at the time for this crime in that state, in Rhode Island, was just 10 years. Maximum sentence, because, of course, it's just a child. So he gets out. It's not 100% clear to me how much time he served of those 10 years, but he served. But his next offense comes, of course, rather quickly. Now, if he served all 10 years or 9 years, he has his next offense immediately after getting. So in 2007, immediately getting out of prison, a police officer sees him rummaging through cars. He gives chase. And when the man refused to stop, he led police over 2 fences, across the street, into the backyard, where family told police the suspect had run around the corner. He was ultimately tackled to the ground. They continued to resist before he was sprayed by police. Police said that he was homeless when he was released from the House of Corrections. They call it House of Corrections. Was identified by the witness as a car break-in suspect. He was charged with breaking and entering into a vehicle during the nighttime for felony, disturbing peace, disorderly conduct, and arrested possession of Class A and E substances. The Lumina owner was not available for comment. And yeah. Then he does something where he violates his, and this is quite interesting because he has multiple appeals on this. He traveled to another state and didn't register. And this Roach actually filed multiple appeals saying that it was unconstitutional because a lot had changed, blah, blah, blah. Can you imagine? This guy's just a waste on society. All he is a drain. He's violating children. He's doing, breaking into cars. He's sending pictures of his girl, and he just keeps getting locked up. And it's like, at what point maybe you should have the habitual offender thing that we see in Louisiana, because there's nothing good can come from this Roach. And on that note, it's like, well, how does he have all these girlfriends? It's like he has a girlfriend who was a full-time job. He sent the picture. Why is anyone dating him? These are things I cannot understand. He even has a girlfriend now. And it's like, why? What redeeming factor does this Roach have? Why are you, woman, doing this? It's just something I'll never understand. I just don't get it. But because the appeal follows a conviction predicated, and I hear it by so many people. You hear it all the time. All these people who can't find girlfriends, who have jobs, and you seem like decent. And I just don't like what is it with, okay, I digress. Because of this appeal follows a conviction predicted on guilty plea. Okay. Let's go into this detail. So the defendant was convicted of sex offenses in Massachusetts in 1995. Upon his release from prison, the law required him to register as a sex offender, and he did so. He was on notice that if he moved out of state, he would have to register as a sex offender in a new venue. The defendant kept his Massachusetts registration current through the fall of 2006. In February of 2007, and this is some data point, right? Because remember, he was arrested in 95. He kept it current till 2006. So if he did the full 10 years, he basically kept it current for like a year. But again, we don't know if it. So now, in February 2007, he moved to Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and took up residence there. Despite this change of domicile, he did not register as a sex offender in Rhode Island. On March 27, 2007, a local police officer informed the defendant that Rhode Island law required him to register. The officer told him that he should register, that he should report to the police station for that purpose within the week. I mean, here he's at just within the week, come on over and register. But the defendant did not comply. And then this roach actually sues or files appeals, I should say. On April 4th, 2007, the defendant was arrested for failing to register as a sex offender in Rhode Island. Spurred by this arrest, a federal grand jury handed up an indictment charging the defendant with failing to register under SORNA. Now, SORNA was this like new act that I just read about and learned about that was created by the federal government, I believe, to help solve loophole problems in, I think, sex offenders moving to different states, in so many words. Now, the indictment alleged that the defendant's culpable failure to register began in March 2007 and continued through April 2007, a period followed by his interstate travel in February 2007. The defendant moved to dismiss the indictment, arguing that SORNA did not apply to him and that all events, the law's registration requirements were invalid. The government opposed the motion. The district court, in a thoughtful rescript, rejected the defendant's challenge. United States versus Ditomasso. So get that. It's like he's actually, appealing against the federal government. The court ruled that SORNA applied to the defendant from and after its effective date because the law imposed a general obligation on sex offender to register. The court simultaneously rebuffed the defendant's other challenges. I wonder, where did he get the cash to hire an attorney to do this, or did an attorney take it up pro bono? I'm dying to know the answer. The defendant elected to enter a conditioned guilty plea, preserving his right to appeal, or was it a public defender? The district sentenced to serve 30 months in prison, timely appeals, and so he was given a 30-month sentence for not registering. And then the analysis. We consider the defendant's principal argument that SORNA did not apply to him when we committed the alleged offense. We then address his constitutional claims. The defendant pleaded guilty to violating, among other things, section imposes criminal penalties when a person requires to register as a sex offender under SORNA knowingly fails to register after traveling interstate commerce. For SORNA purposes, a sex offender is an individual who is convicted of a sex offense. The defendant concedes that he falls within this taxonomy to understand his argument that SORNA's registration requirements nonetheless do not apply to him. We must understand the architecture and statutory scheme. On that note, when I have a hard time saying these words, I do see some of you who go in there and spell it out for me in the comment section, and I do appreciate it. So keep it up. Thank you. Now, the registration requirements are laid out in section 16913 provided. In general, a sex offender shall register and keep the registration current in each jurisdiction where the offender resides, where the offender is employed, and where the offender is a student for Okay, they just go through all basically the rules and requirements. Now, the court appeals have disagreed about the meaning of the effect of statutory regulatory, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go through all of this. I'll put the link in the description, but this is just one of them. Here's another one in 2010. Federal court circuits divided over when law took effect. So this is, I think, was part of his. This is part of his like appeal, and they going through the technicalities of it because the law was signed in 2006. He traveled here. Was the law effect when he got there? Was he illegally found guilty? But we could just read to the end of it that He was charged in February 2007 failure to register as a sex offender. His September 2008 guilty plea was conditioned on reserving the right to appeal the judge's denial of his motion to dismiss. He was sentenced to a year and 1 day in prison. The Ditomasso ruling makes it very unlikely that they're bringing up Ditomasso for another case, actually. So that's what this is. Makes it very unlikely that Mr. Gagnon will prevail. So he's like a landmark case that is now brought up for these other type of cases, which is cool. Maybe he actually did contribute to society. In an offhanded way, his case as a landmark case is helping keep other riches in prison. And then this is another one where it keeps on going about his stupid appeal to try to not get locked up. And all he had to do, right? All he had to do was go to the police station and register. So, it's just so pathetic. The other thing he was saying, I just wanted to talk to her. I just wanted to talk to her. You know what that reminded me of? He's telling her why he's extorting her to have her come to her motel room. If you don't talk to me, I'm going to just send this video of you to all your co-workers. Remember that JCS video of Yardley, that lacrosse player who killed his girlfriend? I just wanted to talk to her. That's what it reminded me of. Thank you, Richard, for providing the info. There is a lot of different little articles on this case, but just another, he's gonna get out. He has flat time, which is again why I don't think, sometimes they just parole and sometimes they don't, and they parole when they wait a minute, what was I saying? So normally they parole when they have flat time versus special parole because they want to give them some conditions. But even in this situation, and I don't believe, maybe he's gonna, I'm actually a little confused with this, but whether he has, let's see, I don't know. His record is so long. The guy, he gets arrested basically every couple of years. But yeah, he's gonna get out next year anyways, regardless. And let's wait for the next victim. That's all I can say. And with that, we'll move to the next hearing.
Inmate number 442627. He is serving a total effective sentence of 10 years, execution suspended after 30 months. This is followed by 5 years of probation for the charges of risk of injury to child and sex assault 4th degree. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of February 25th, 2024. This is at 50% eligibility. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for this offender, which has been reviewed and shows that the offender has successfully completed the short-term sex treatment program. The offender remains on the Department of Correction waiting list for the 5 or 7-day job assignment and voices. This is according to the RT3 inquiry I ran on Mr. Capoccia's case. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the low range of risk for recidivism. Utilizing the static 99R, the offender's overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the low range. All right, Mr. Capoccia, this is now your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Okay, thank you. I did write some notes, just so you know, I'm trying to express it all at the same time.
Sure. Yeah.
Before I was incarcerated, I was I was given a responsibility and a trust to which over my victim and a responsibility to her family. I ruined that trust. I will never be able to tell my victim or her family how sorry I am and regret my selfish actions, which I wish I could change. I deeply regret what I've done, not only to my victim, her mother, but her whole entire family, as well as my family and friends. If granted parole, I will continue to attend SLAA meetings, which I was attending before I came to prison. And I've also confirmed with my therapist that he will be able to take me back into therapy if I'm granted parole. I will continue to strive to be a good person, and thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
Okay, Mr. Capoccia, thank you for your statement. We do have questions for you. When we're done, we'll deliberate and give you our decision.
Thank you.
We'll begin with my colleague, Mr. Paul.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning.
Morning.
I appreciate your opening remarks regarding, the victim and how you feel about that. You did take the short-term program. One of the things that was on your OAP that you haven't had the opportunity to complete is voices. So I want to go into that just a bit. What do you think the impact is that you had on the victim in this case?
I would have to say probably ruin trust. She won't be able to trust, or it will take a lot for her to trust. I can't say too much further that I would think. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. I'm not, a little lost for words at the moment.
That's like the minimum kind of stuff, right?
Meaning?
Certainly, I mean, that's the kind of minimum kind of stuff that she would experience is ruined trust.
Okay,
Because
trust.
when you have adults in your life and they're supposed to be there to take care of you and protect you, and they turn around and assault you, that's, that can do a lot of future damage in terms of relationships with others as she grows up and becomes part of the world.
Agree.
I appreciate that you understand you also affected your family and the rest of her family.
I've affected everyone. It's an awful mistake that I made, and I wish there was something I could do to change it, but I cannot speak to the victim nor her family. I can only express to you guys and my family how I feel and how remorseful I feel for what I have done.
So you took the short-term program.
I did take the short-term program.
So what did you learn? Why did you do this?
From the program, I learned that my sexual behavior problem was from an excess of being on the internet and porn. And don't get me wrong, I'm taking complete accountability for my actions, but that's what I've learned from that.
So is porn a problem for you?
It was.
Oh, I mean, obviously it's not a problem now.
Correct. And it won't be when I get out of here.
How do you say that with confidence?
Well, because I know where it got me the first time, and I don't want to repeat that.
Okay, but you also said that you're going to SLAA.
It's a way of communicating how I feel for what I've done.
Right, but obviously the worst of the addictions is sex and food. Because there isn't just abstaining, there's a bottom line. So how do you not say with confidence that porn's no longer a problem?
Well, I can only express that to you guys, but it's something that I have to take with me every day. I have to know that I have to stay away from that, and if I have an issue, I can go to SLAA and express my concerns on where I was thinking or my incorrect thoughts.
Okay. I mean, that's where we need to be. Right?
Correct.
So you said your sexual behavior and excessive porn got you here. So those are, that's at least one thing that triggers addictive behavior. Have you learned anything else that
But I learned that my thoughts could have deviated from when I was much younger. And I had an older adult somewhat teach me the ropes, if you would. Unbeknownst to me, it was sexual assault, but I didn't realize that as a young kid.
So how did you unpack that? In group, how did you unpack that? How did you? Because certainly I know it's not a blame thing,
Right.
but how do you unpack the fact that so it happened to you?
I think what I was thinking was teaching, and that was what happened to me. Was the woman said, "I'm going to teach you," and I think that's where possibly some of my actions came from.
So what are some things that you want to be highly conscious of when you're in the community and it comes to problem sexual behavior?
Well,
What are risk factors? Others.
I to be honest with you, my industry that I work in puts me with people all day long. Some out in major events, some in household events. But I don't think, and it hasn't been a problem for me out in those events. So to answer your question, I don't look at it as I could potentially put myself in harm's way in a situation like that, because I don't feel that I would do that again.
So it's not something that you're triggered at when you're out doing your craft.
That's correct. I'm a chef by trade. I work for a major catering company.
Right.
They trusted me, and I've yet to break that trust. And I've been with them a long time. Send me on events, all kinds of events. Like I said, I made the mistake once. It's in my mind will never happen again. So I mean, it's difficult for me to. I'm sure you guys hear this before, and you're like, oh, but that's my voice to you is that this will not happen again.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. And I think that there's, you've come a certain way. And the thing is that I understand what you're saying, but you also have to figure, the 12-step recovery that you're doing, into that, right? So certainly it's like, we can never say, I'm never going to do that again.
You are correct. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But you need to learn how to manage anything that comes at you sideways.
Correct. And
Right.
and I don't know if you've probably seen it, but I was, prior to being incarcerated, I was out for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't forecast myself making that mistake again.
Right. Just know that coming back out, you need to pick up what you did that made you successful for 5 years.
I need to continue that.
Right.
Correct.
And when it comes to other things, you know, there's no criminal history here. So there's been no supervision. Your employment, you're a professional in your trade. You have incredibly solid education. You're coming back out to the situation, a self-sponsor situation. At a place that you lived at successfully in the past, re-engaging in 12-step recovery and therapy, which all of that's important. And another piece of that is, that you're going to have to do treatment for problem sexual behavior in the community, right?
I do know that. So a woman came to see me maybe 5 months ago.
And that because this was an offense against a minor, that there's going to be no contact with minors without your parole officer permission, right?
I'm sorry, without my parole officer, what?
Permission.
Permission, okay, yes.
So that's incredibly important to understand.
Right, including family?
Including
Yeah.
if you're around minors, you need to talk to your parole officer.
Before.
Right?
I'm asking
Before.
for my nieces and nephews, that's why I'm asking.
All of that stuff needs to be run through the parole officer.
Very well,
And that you're on the registry,
correct?
and that there's compliance with, making sure that you're there, because if you don't, and you don't register any movement in terms of housing or other types of things like that, or you fail to register, that could wind you back up in where you are now, right?
I do know that.
Okay.
The parole officer went through that with me when I met with him a couple of weeks ago.
That's great. So I thank you for answering my questions, and I wish you well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. Ms. Palmieri?
I have no further questions.
Yeah, I think
Thank
Mr.
you.
Paul did a good job.
Yes.
For us. All right, give us a few minutes to discuss your case, sir, and we'll get back to you shortly with our decision. Mr. Paul?
Do I leave here?
No, you can listen to us.
Okay,
Pretty well just laid it out.
Yeah.
In my discussion.
Mhm. Yeah,
I have treatment for problem sexual behavior, no contact with minors, no contact with RC.
I also have a restriction on pornography and enhanced internet and device monitoring.
I didn't have the internet, but I did have the restriction.
It says that the internet and pornography is a trigger for him, so I think it is appropriate. All right. In the matter of Angelo Capoccia, MA number 442627. I'll make a motion to grant parole effective today, April 24th, 2024, with the following conditions. You're to have no contact with your victim, initials RC, no contact with minors without your parole officer's permission. You'll participate in sex offender treatment. You will have a restriction on pornographies and enhanced internet and device monitoring. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You'll get all of this in writing, but do you have questions, sir?
at the moment, no. I'll wait till
All
you
right.
guys finish before I ask unless you guys are done.
Yeah, we're done.
So I'm granted parole.
You're granted parole. It, may not be tomorrow. There are things that need to be put into place and you'll sign off on forms and,
That's
but
what I
you
was-
will be, yeah,
That's what I was gonna say. So there's no specific date.
it's
I only
not up to
asked-
today, so someone will reach out to you.
I asked just because my mother's birthday is May 21st and I would like to try and get there for her.
Oh, I'm sure you would. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no control over when parole and community services will take you.
Well,
So-
thank you, guys. Thank you for your time.
Good luck to you, sir.
All right,
Thank
this concludes this hearing for Angelo Capoccia, 442627, going off the record.
Thank you.
Cockroach. Just another cockroach. And it's just, again, the most disturbing aspect of this is this incompetency, in my opinion, of the parole board. Zaccanini, Pohl, and Palmieri. So what kind of harm do you think you did on the victim? Trust. Yes, trust. Trust. Yes, trust. So she'll never be able to trust. But it's so that's it. It's been so much. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I've only been sitting here for the past 15 months to think about it. So I don't really know. It's like, are you kidding me? And you let him out with that type of answer? because he finished a program, a short-term program. Low risk score, of course, right? Yeah. It's just insane. Why don't they ask him what he did? Why don't they ask him why don't they dig in to see even how his mind thinks? Think about this. This is a parole board that is meant to decide whether someone is safe to be released or not. And you're releasing him based on what? You just can't make it up because it doesn't make any sense. I don't know, but he took a short-term program and the algorithm says he's a low risk score. Oh, it's great. He's going out. He's on his own reconnaissance, right? He's leaving prison. He's going to be self-sponsored. Freaking clowns. You know, the only satisfying thing about this case was that the police raided him at his place of work. So at least they did that, right?
Norwalk. Police say they arrested 46-year-old Angelo Capoccia at work yesterday. They say he's accused of having multiple encounters with a minor. It's not clear where the alleged assaults happened. He's due in court next week.
Now, that's really pretty much it. I mean, we don't know what he did. It seemed that he had a good job, is what they're kind of saying. He was like 46 years old at the time he was caught. But there's no other information. There's really nothing. The resident allegedly engaged in numerous recent activities of sexual contact with a juvenile, prompting further investigation by detectives. It allegedly said that he engaged in said acts, and a warrant was issued for his arrest and executed on April 26. He was arrested at his workplace and charged with 4th degree sexual assault, risk of injury, or impairing the morals of a child. And that's it. I mean, we don't know how old the person was, and from my understanding of doing some checking out this website, risk of injury, it really means that for what he was charged with, 5321A, it means anyone under the age of 16. So we know that for sure she was under the age of 16, and then it can really be anything. When it's, it's like, oh shoot, I wasn't sharing my screen. Hold on. So it's like a lawyer website where they talk about what it is, 5321A, and then it's a kind of vague, but they don't charge when it's the minor stuff. So you know that it was a serious deal. They always give plea deals. Think about this. He was arrested on 4/26/2018, and he was able to kick it down the road for whatever reasons, maybe COVID, this, that, for 5 years, like he had mentioned. He wasn't sentenced. He didn't start serving prison until January 9th, 2023. So he's been in prison a year and like 4 months till he got paroled. And no DA, no victim advocate, no one for the, but don't worry, it was obviously all the TV stuff he was watching. He blames it on this, on that. It's just, and you can see zero insight, zero accountability, zero empathy, but it's just, release him. You really think that he's going to just stop? He's just going to stop. He's just going to like completely change his desires and sexual orientation because of a program. Oh, whatever. Thank you, Richard, for the info. And with that, I'll let you go.